Ryan, do you mind hitting the forward arrow on the key?
Sorry.
Or enter, because this clicker stopped. Yeah. So the last piece that I wanted to kind of hit on, sometimes people like numbers. So we pulled together and looked at our 2016 annual report. Every year we put out an annual report looking at our services. And it's a pretty extensive document. So I just pulled out a couple key things. You can see within the dates above the 3 types of crime victims that we served that were victims of adult offenders. The 3 most common types of crime we saw were domestic violence, child victims of sexual abuse, and assault. So it just gives you a glimpse, a little piece of our population that we're serving, but it's pretty expansive. 88% of sexual assault victims that we saw knew their perpetrators, which if you do any kind of research in sexual violence, like nationally or bigger statistics, that's going to correlate pretty well. It's the majority of these cases, there's a familiarity there. And then you can see our outreach numbers. Again, we try to get out to as many people as possible. I definitely focus on working on the 9 college campuses and with professionals, but I have a coworker who focuses on middle school and high school, and another one who's really good with elementary schoolers. Pretty much anything and anybody who will let us come out and talk and have a conversation, we'll do it and just try to open the doors. I always tell people, you know, I hope you never need us. I would love to be out of a job in a sense. But if you do, I want you to at least know that we exist and how we can help you and the expansiveness of how we can assist through anything. So I just threw a lot at you about in-depth CVC. Before we go into anything else, what questions do you all have for us? Yeah.
I have a question. Since 2016, because I was reading the annual report before you guys started, and I was going to ask, in this year, have you guys seen any decrease in sexual assaults, or is it about the same for this year?
Do you?
I haven't looked at this year's yet, but we're very busy. So I would say not, no. I mean, our counseling staff is definitely filled up, so I would say no, not a
Yeah, I
increase.
wouldn't say that we've had
No,
like
a decrease.
a severe increase, but we haven't decreased
No.
either.
No.
We may rise a little bit or anything, but we're at least maintaining, I'd say. What other kind of questions do you guys have? Alright. You wanna talk about?
Yeah, go ahead.
How many volunteers do you guys have?
Huh.
Well, it depends on what kind of volunteers. So, I mean,
In general?
well, I mean, you have to separate that, because if you're talking about volunteers who answer our hotline, that's different, because those volunteers, I don't know, like only about maybe under 10 of those.
Yeah, 10 at most
10
right
at
now.
most.
We just lost a
Yeah,
bunch.
that's difficult because those volunteers who answer that hotline have to go through a 40-hour training process before they can have any contact with any victim. So that weeds out a whole bunch of people right away because nobody wants to do that. And so that's extensive. And then you are pretty much answering your phone overnight and on weekends. And then the potential is there to have to respond to, a hospital, it's some pretty difficult stuff to deal with too. So it's certainly not for everyone, but we do have other types of volunteer opportunities, and so those other types of volunteers we have a great deal, I think.
Yeah.
Fundraising volunteers,
Right, like we have people that'll come and help out with the rally every year, or plant sale delivery days. We have folks that come out and help us deliver, and it's a little bit less of a severe regular commitment as the hotline.
You don't need to have the training for that, and
Right.
you don't necessarily have to deal with dealing with people in trauma.
Yeah.
How do you find people to volunteer? Like, how would you tell people to volunteer?
So we sometimes will get people at different events come up to us and ask us, on our website, which you can see up here, I shrunk it down to try to get as much in as possible. We have a submission form, so it asks a bunch of different questions, why you're interested, what area you wanna volunteer in. So sometimes people will just find us on our website, or they'll see our lovely Facebook page that I also am the author of, so that's why it's lovely. But sometimes people will interact with us through Facebook, through a program or a conversation like this, and hey, I wanna learn more, I wanna find out more, so they'll connect to us. Other times it's, you know, somebody who's experienced our services and now years later they're kind of coming back saying, I want to give back, I want to find a way to help people the way I was helped. Kind of a varied way.
College students,
Yeah.
volunteers, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the hotline number?
The hotline number is 610-437-6611.
And the website.
The website is cvclv.org. Yep.
This might be a personal question, but what made you guys want to do this?
Do you want to give your take and I'll give
Okay,
mine?
go ahead. I've been here 27 years, so it's been quite some time. But I actually, in college, had an interest in women's issues and also criminal justice as well too. And I had initially taken the, I don't know if you know this, I had taken the test for state police, and my mom was not happy with that, as I was still in college, and the thought of me on the side of the road at night did not make her happy. And so I did not pursue that. In college, I then did an internship in human services, Lehigh County Human Services, and then through that, moved into United Way, worked there, and that's where I found out about the opening for the executive director's job at Crime Victims Council. And so this was really a wonderful opportunity for me, because I could still have both the best worlds, you know, some criminal justice and some women's studies issues, and so that worked out for me.
Yeah, so I originally went to school for technology education. I wanted to be a graphic arts teacher, screen print t-shirts all day, because I was scared of the idea of counseling and what I had always wanted to do, because I thought, too emotional, I can't do it, I'm just gonna screen print t-shirts all day. I went to school and was put into a metal shop and wood shop and different things, and was like, I shouldn't be trusted around this machinery either. And I started working on campus as a peer educator, doing sexual violence, domestic violence prevention, programming, and awareness events. And it just kind of clicked my sophomore year, and I realized, you know what, I can do this. This is what I want to do with my life. So I switched my major to social work, graduated with my social work degree, moved back home to the Lehigh Valley where I'm from, and emailed Crime Victims Council, my now supervisor, kind of saying like, hey, everything I know is where I went to school. I know nothing about the Lehigh Valley. Can I volunteer? Can I come do something somewhere? You don't have to pay me or anything. I just need to get my feet wet. And luckily, like 2 or 3 months later, a position opened up. She remembered my resume, my experience, and 3 years later, here I am, so.
Could you repeat that number again?
The hotline number?
Yeah.
It's 610-437-6611.
Thank you.
Yeah. You wanna talk about rights?
Yeah. So I spend a good deal of my time working on legislative issues, and also on victims' rights as well too. So I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit if we could, because I think it's important, particularly in the field that you're in. So I'd like to try try to do a little exercise first, and I always find this interesting, because I find that a lot of people get, their education on the criminal justice system, on TV.
Don't
So-
feel bad either. She does this during interviews for like employment or during our training. The 40-hour training, when Suzanne meets with a new staff member, myself included 3 years ago, she does the same activity, and I was like, I know nothing. So don't feel bad.
We're gonna try, because you all know all about all this criminal justice stuff from all your work on TV, to identify constitutional rights that the criminal defendant has, okay? So let's think about all those TV shows and all of the rights that a criminal defendant has in the Constitution, okay? I do this too. I teach at Penn State, and I do this exercise with my students there, and they go, we didn't get this yet. You had it in 5th grade, okay? The Constitution's covered in 5th grade. So let's go through the Constitution in your memory and see what you can think of as far as rights that the criminal defendant might have. Go ahead.
This is the like
Oh, crap. Moment.
put on TV like you have the right to.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, the Miranda.
Right to a fair trial?
What's that?
Right to a fair trial? Right to a lawyer?
Yeah. Keep talking. Okay,
Right to remain silent?
okay, you have a right to a speedy trial, okay?
Right.
It's a speedy and public trial, so we'll give you that one, okay?
Right to a lawyer if you cannot,
Right to legal counsel, okay?
Right.
Yeah, that one. Somebody else said something else, I'm sorry. What's that?
Innocent until proven guilty. Something
It's not in the Constitution,
Yeah, no, it's not.
no,
Like something
no,
like-
no. Yeah.
I think somebody said remain silent.
Okay, yes, you have the right against self-incrimination.
I'm trying to remember.
11 more.